In the heart of Bentonville, Arkansas, a quiet revolution is taking shape. At first glance, this small city might seem like an unlikely location for one of the most ambitious experiments in medical education. But thanks to Alice Walton, the world's richest woman and a visionary philanthropist, Bentonville has become the birthplace of the Alice L. Walton School of Medicine, an institution that promises to transform not just how doctors are trained, but how we think about health itself. This is not the story of a typical medical school. It is the story of innovation, resilience, and a woman whose own life experience shaped her belief that healing requires far more than prescriptions and procedures. It is a story that begins with personal struggle, expands into philanthropy, and now carries the potential to ripple across the future of healthcare for generations to come. The woman behind the vision. Alice Walton is no stranger to bold ventures. Born into the family that built Walmart, she grew up witnessing both the power of commerce and the responsibility of wealth. While her brothers carried forward much of the Walmart empire, Alice charted her own path. She became known not only for her business acumen, but also for her passion for art and philanthropy, founding the Crystal Bridges Museum of American Art in Bentonville, a world-class institution nestled in the Ozark forests. But Alice's vision extended beyond art. It reached into something far more personal: health and healing. Many years ago, Alice Walton survived a serious car accident that left her in a long, difficult recovery. Through that process, she came face to face with a reality that many patients quietly endure. Traditional medicine often focuses only on the physical wound, the immediate injury, or the visible illness. What's sometimes overlooked is the whole person: the mind, the emotions, the spirit, and the lifestyle that shapes one's well-being. That experience planted a seed, and now, decades later, it has blossomed into one of the most innovative educational experiments in America. A medical school designed not just to train doctors, but to transform them into healers of the whole human being. A bold beginning. The Alice L. Walton School of Medicine opened its doors with a clear mission: to reimagine medical education. From the very first announcement, it drew global attention. Out of more than 2,000 applicants, only 48 students were accepted into the inaugural class. That's fewer than 3%, a level of selectivity comparable to the world's most prestigious universities. But beyond exclusivity, there was something else that stunned the world: free tuition. Alice Walton, with her vast fortune, made a bold commitment. She pledged that the first 5 graduating classes, hundreds of future physicians, would attend tuition-free. In a country where medical school debt often exceeds $200,000 per student, this was nothing short of revolutionary. By removing the crushing weight of debt, Walton hoped to liberate students to pursue careers driven by passion and purpose, not by the pressure to repay loans. That means more future doctors choosing family medicine, psychiatry, community care, and specialties that directly touch lives, rather than being forced toward only the highest-paying medical fields. A campus like no other. Step onto the Bentonville campus, and you'll immediately sense that this is not a typical medical school. Instead of sterile hallways and lecture halls lined with fluorescent lights, the Alice L. Walton School of Medicine feels almost like a retreat center. The architecture itself was designed around the principles of healing. Rooftop gardens bloom with greenery, offering students a place to step away from the intensity of study and reconnect with nature. Wellness studios are woven throughout the buildings, creating space for yoga, meditation, and physical rejuvenation. Reflection areas, quiet, sunlit rooms filled with natural textures and calming design, invite students to slow down, breathe, and remember why they are here, to learn the art of healing in every dimension. Every element of the campus reflects Alice Walton's belief that the environment shapes well-being. The message is clear. Before you can care for others, you must also know how to care for yourself. The philosophy of whole-person care. At the heart of this new institution lies a radical idea that medicine must treat the whole person, not just the disease. The curriculum integrates not only traditional medical training, anatomy, pharmacology, surgery, but also areas often neglected in other schools. Mental health, teaching future doctors to see psychological and emotional wellness as inseparable from physical health. lifestyle medicine, understanding how diet, exercise, sleep, and habits affect long-term outcomes. Emotional well-being, training physicians to connect deeply with patients, listening not just to symptoms, but to stories. Community healing, encouraging graduates to build healthier societies, not just healthier individuals. Alice Walton herself has described this philosophy as a direct extension of her own journey. She knows that healing after her accident wasn't just about medical intervention. It was about finding balance, purpose, and resilience. She wants doctors to carry that same perspective to their patients. The human impact. Imagine a young medical student stepping onto this campus for the first time. Perhaps she grew up in a rural community where access to healthcare was limited. Perhaps he comes from a family where no one before had gone to college, let alone medical school. For these students, walking into a tuition-free, whole-person focused institution is not just an educational opportunity. It is life-changing. Instead of being burdened by debt, these students can dream freely about the future. Instead of being taught only to diagnose and prescribe, they are being trained to listen, to empathize, and to see their patients as whole human beings. In a world where doctors often burn out from stress, where patients feel unseen in overcrowded systems, and where health crises like obesity, depression, and addiction grow more complex, this new kind of training could not come at a more urgent time. The challenge to tradition. But this initiative is not without its skeptics. Traditional medical institutions, many of them centuries old, have developed rigorous models that have produced generations of skilled doctors. Can a new school in Arkansas, however well-funded, truly change the future of medicine? Some critics argue that focusing too much on wellness might dilute the rigorous scientific training required to save lives in acute situations. Others wonder whether the impact of such a small program, just 48 students per class, can really ripple out into the broader healthcare system. Alice Walton, however, sees it differently. She believes that innovation always begins small. Just as Crystal Bridges changed the cultural landscape of Bentonville, she believes the School of Medicine will spark a wave of change, influencing how other schools, hospitals, and healthcare systems approach the art of healing. A vision for the future. The long-term impact of the Alice L. Walton School of Medicine remains to be seen. The first class has only just begun their journey. It will take years, perhaps decades, before we can fully measure how these doctors influence communities, patients, and policies. But already the seeds have been planted. Already the medical world is watching. And already young students are walking across campus gardens, sitting in meditation spaces, and preparing themselves not just to be doctors, but to be healers of the whole human experience. Alice Walton has often said that she believes in blending philanthropy with vision. In her mind, wealth is not just a privilege, but a responsibility to use resources in ways that elevate human lives. Through this school, she has extended that philosophy into the realm of medicine, daring to ask a profound question. What if our healthcare system treated not just illness, but the whole person? Yet it already carries the potential to shift the narrative of healthcare in America. It is a story of resilience born from personal recovery, a story of generosity rooted in philanthropy, a story of education designed for a new era, and most of all, it is a story of hope that the doctors of tomorrow will be trained not just to cure, but to care. In Bentonville, Arkansas, in a school surrounded by gardens and light, 48 young students are taking their first steps toward that future. And with them, perhaps a new chapter in the history of medicine has already begun.